What's up, guys? This is Lauren with RW Business Solutions, bringing you the Mindful Business Life podcast. Every week, Lindsay and I hop on, and in the beginning of the week, I do my own business coaching kind of podcast. And then midweek, Lindsay and I team up to bring you something more mindful, more heart-centered, and just supportive. So each week we talk about Journey to the Heart. It's a daily meditation on the path to freeing your soul, and it's by Melody Beattie. We always do this every week, but we're loving the weekly touchbacks on this because her and I both, and I know we'll talk about it, is whatever the topic is, we really see it prevalent in our life. And it's funny because I own a women in business group called The Business of Being a Goddess. And it's the same thing. Whenever we set a theme, it literally runs through our weeks. And so it's funny how you almost preset yourself to live this life now, live whatever it is that you're running off of. So, but my name is Lauren, RW Business Solutions. I'm a business coach. I own a digital marketing firm where we do website development, social media maintenance and management, graphic designs, and some other things. And Lindsay, if you want to say what's up.
Yes. Hey, everybody. My name is Lindsay Warwick. I have Lindsay Warwick Yoga and Healing. I'm an experienced yoga instructor, as well as a Reiki master, an energy worker, card reader. I also have a podcast and YouTube channel called The Conduit, where currently I'm doing Top of Tuesdays. That's a spiritual interview series. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check it out. I have a lot of different guests on there that come on and talk about their spiritual journey as well as their spiritual offerings. And so far, the conversations have been really great. So definitely check that out. But happy to be here today, February 16th, 2022, and talk about Journey to the Heart with Lauren. So happy to be here.
All right. So we always read the excerpt so that way you know what we're talking about, and you can kind of get a deeper feel for, the whole purpose of her excerpt. And so Lindsay's going to read that to you this week.
February 16th. The answer may be right in front of you. It was late at night. I had just pulled into Chimeo, New Mexico. The streets were poorly lit. Addresses and signs were difficult to see. I had been driving around for what seemed like hours, looking for an address. Finally, in desperation, I stopped the car, got out, and flagged someone down. A man stopped, but said he couldn't help me. I was at my wit's end. I turned around, staring frantically at the mailbox in front of me. To my surprise, I was right where I wanted to go. How often we wave our hands in panic and despair, certain the answer, the insight, the piece of information we need will never come. Yet often the answer we're seeking is right in front of us. There is a part of us, our heart, that knows where we're going, knows what we need, knows what the next step is. Our heart will lead us on. Our soul will move us forward. Our instincts will take us home like a radar signal beaming us to safety. Feel your panic, feel your frustration, but keep your eyes and your heart open. The answer may be closer than you think. Maybe it's right in front of you.
Yeah, I can't even, I swear. I want to, we were kind of talking about it before we went live, but I know, I'm big on the synchronicities. You are too, as spiritual coaches and leaders and just people who appreciate spirituality and this, and you're constantly shown these signs and signals, right? We call them synchronicities. And it's when you see that 1111, or you see that sign that literally said something you had said 5 minutes ago. And so I've been seeing that a lot, but what I've been seeing is this same concept that just pay attention to what I'm showing you. And I'm just like, well, what are you showing me? I'm trying to pay attention to it all. So what is it, And so I think for me, what I've really been doing with this whole concept is, okay, the answers are right in front of me. And so then I go and I start doing, can you make it clearer? Can you start doing can you give me a better outline of what exactly it is that's in front of me? So I've been focusing on really looking at what's in front of me. And because I am lacking that clarity, I just keep saying, please keep showing me or showing up and showing me what it is that I need to be seeing. So I love this concept because I have been getting that sign that it is right in front of you, the opportunities and all of that. And so I just keep asking for more and more clarity, or for me to continue moving into the alignment of clarity.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like this is talking about like this person is driving all around and just very frustrated and freaking out essentially. And then once they kind of figure out like that they are exactly where they are, to me that's like a big metaphor for getting out of your own way, like getting out of your own ego, just getting out of your own way and relaxing. And then like when you relax, like that's when you will arrive where you're supposed to arrive, instead of like this frantic desperation of like kind of fighting against the current. And just like it's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears kind of a concept, you know what I mean? Like once you're like ready, or once you just kind of relax and settle, is when those answers and when exactly what you need presents itself, which I know that we've definitely talked about this. It's like the universe is always going to provide for us, whether we think it's going our way or not. So like those times of desperation and frustration, it's actually like, I love it. This is saying how like our heart, our inner being in our heart, like knows where we're going, even if it is frustrating at the time. But our heart and our soul is going to move us forward and lead us on. So I think this is really interesting. It's of course it's in alignment with what's going on in my life as well. So it's just, yeah, like all of it is part of it.
And something that like kind of piggybacking off what you said, right? You're flustered, you're frustrated, you're looking all around, you're questioning everything, and you're not pausing for a moment and taking a breath and realizing that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And that's with everything in life. Is like we're so we've talked about this on a few of the podcasts. I don't know if you and I, but the last guy I had on my mindful business part, he did. And I told him, I said, technically we live like when I researched it, it was like 80 milliseconds in the past. So when we actually think we're thinking about the present, we're actually in the past. And so we're constantly living in a state of past or present. It's very rare, unless you're dropping into meditation, that you're actually in the present moment. And so I think it's really important just to remember that, if you, the whole concept of the serenity prayer, if you can't change it, don't stress it. If you can change it, change it. But just to remember to breathe and pause for a moment and just look around and see what is there, and then find gratitude for the things that are there for you right now. And after listening to your podcast, your Top Foot Tuesday podcast with old boy, it was really great. What was his name? Was it Matt?
Daniel Canilli.
Daniel. Something you guys had brought up in your podcast was, you'll drive down the same road.
Oh yeah.
And then you won't notice this house there. And then all of a sudden, a month later, you're like, oh, I never noticed that house sitting there. And it's like your conscious, I'm getting chills. It's like your conscious awareness hasn't met that level to bring you to that new level of being. And so right now it feels like that, right? It's like, Lauren, it's right there in front of you, but you're also not actually at the conscious level yet to receive that. So keep just working on being present here in this moment. And in time, that clarity will come. That house you're not seeing will show up, and you'll be like, it was there the whole time.
Yeah,
so I really love that.
Yes, I love that too. Like that actually came from somatic frequency conversation that I had on Top of Tuesday. I think that was the second week I had Sunny Pakinen on there. And so, yeah, I think that's really interesting. And myself right now, I'm studying a lot of the law of attraction and really just trying to wrap my brain around it. And it's like, we could go so deep down the rabbit hole with it, but it's like, you have to like create your inner vibration to match what you want in your outside reality. So if the same types of things are still coming into your reality, even though it's something that you don't want, you're still thinking about it as the universe doesn't differentiate between what you don't want and what you do want. It just feels the vibration, right?
Right.
And it's like all about changing that inner vibration that's going to change your outer reality. And it's like, it's so crazy because it's like, you know, I can create stories in my head about situations that have happened and that will not serve me, or I can change the story. And then it's like, my ego is like, but what's real? And it's like, does it even matter? Like, you could really go like down the rabbit hole with this, but it's like, are my thoughts my reality? Like, it's insane. And then it's like, you know, we talk about the vortex, like my friend, you know, our group of friends talks about vibration, frequency, energy, like the vortex. And it's like, how do you get someone or something out of your vortex? Well, you don't think about it. So
you don't
then
go back to it.
Yes, you don't think about
lesson.
it. Yes. And then change the thought to something else altogether, like something else that you want to manifest or something positive. But it's really difficult work. It's like school for your brain, like literally, you know what I mean?
Oh,
and it's like, if we could just get out of our way, because I think of this whole, you know, story for this reading entry today as a metaphor. It's like the mind, like you're so distracted, you're having all these thoughts, and once I calm down or like get to the 0 point or meditate or something like that, it's like, then like the truth is actually revealed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you think about it, right? The reason why we continue to make the same, I hate to say mistakes, but we don't learn our lesson and we keep going through the same patterns is because of a lot of our pre-programming we've had since a kid, a lot of things, traumas that we haven't worked through, right? So it is totally a mental game. And it's when we start clearing the mental issues or the pre-programming or the subconscious blocks that we've allowed to be built within our mind, driven by our ego, which I've talked about as if you really start to appreciate the ego for what it is, it's a teacher more than it is a hindrance or a problem. You know, you can really, like you were saying, get out of your own way. And so it takes a lot of mindfulness to be there too, because if you haven't actually worked through that lesson or broke through that pre-programmed thought or idea, you're definitely going to keep feeling stuck and feeling like you aren't making progress. But if you start being more mindful, and I've talked about this before, you start catching yourself when you're going down a negative rabbit hole, then you can start clearing out those karmic issues that you have, the blocks in your mindset that you have. So it's accountability with yourself, right? To get yourself out of your own way. It's you having to go, you know, I don't want to think like this anymore. I always talk about it. I always ask myself, well, why do you feel like this today? Or I know you're hurting today, but can we move through it and find something to be grateful for? And so I am always accountable over myself to move that mental shift, to shift me into a better perspective, to learn my lesson, to break through those habits. And so I love that concept because I'm big on that, especially because I'm NLP certified, neuro linguistics programming certified. And so I'm all about that. Like, what is the root cause? And is there a way to flip that switch to make it a more positive idea or concept? And what can we learn from it? But what I was loving in here a little bit myself was our instincts will take us home like a radar signal, beaming us to safety. And a lot of us we're all intuitive. We all have spiritual gifts. We are all able to tap into our intuitive nature. Nobody is more spiritual than the others. Just some people are at different levels depending on their life alignment, and so we all have this ability to tap into our intuitive state. And so for some of us, we're very tuned in, and some of us, we're somewhat tuned in. Some of us are not tuned in at all. And so with that, our instincts, our intuition,
like our gut
instincts will guide us. And so I really want to like encourage everyone, to really pay attention to that concept, because if you start hearing something in your mind constantly showing up over and over, that's the call. That's the acknowledgement. That's the movement you should be making. If you keep getting shown like you should call your grandma, you better call your grandma. There's a reason. I've heard plenty of people say, oh, I kept getting shown I should call my grandma. And then I called and she died. Things like that, like intense things like that. And so you have to really be willing to listen to that instinct, that gut, that intuition, and showing up in these places and spaces, even if it feels weird or uncomfortable.
Yeah, I also think with listening to the intuition, it's also about using discernment. So it's like identifying what is intuition versus what's fear or anxiety. At least for me, that was part of my path, is deciphering or discerning between what's my real intuition and what's just a fear or an old thought pattern that I'm trying to release. So definitely tuning into the body, like my gut said, because you'll get a feeling in your body, like your body's going to tell you things. It's like there's been tons of situations that I felt something. I think I posted something today, like about trusting. If you don't feel right about something, you should probably trust that, even though it's not maybe what your mind wants, or maybe what you thought you wanted, but trusting that you're getting those signals and then just letting it go with grace has also been like a huge, lifelong lesson for me, maybe for humanity in general. It's hard sometimes, like to let go of things. But yeah, I think that this is, our instincts, our inner compass, our inner guidance system is always going to lead us where we're supposed to go. And it will eventually get there. It just depends. Like, so the little signals, the signs could start off as very small until, if you're continuing not to listen and it's not for your highest good, shit's gonna get bad. And I'll just say that from personal experience.
Exactly.
Usually the signs get louder and the lesson is harder, and it is harder to let go in grace. And it leads to more suffering eventually. So it's, I think it's important to, like this is saying, like feel your panic and the frustration, but keep your eyes and heart open, which literally last week was keep your heart open. Were you going to just say that?
Bro. I was just going to say that. I was just like, what?
How were you
really? Last week?
Of course, because it does feel, it's like we're in that same thought of, well, even when shit is hard, just try to keep your heart open. And that's like the law of attraction too. The more I focus on what I don't want, I'm bringing in more of what I don't want. But if I focus on what I do want and keep my heart open, then I have the opportunity to attract those things into my vortex.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you took the words right out my mouth here today. I was literally like about to break that down too, because I was just like, man, and just feeling, right? We've talked about this plenty of times, and I'm sure, with doing the mindfulness and the spiritual talks anyway, you're going to talk about it. It's just feeling, and getting to know the feelings and something I talk about with a lot of my students, they'll be like, oh, I'm having anxiety about something. And I'm like, well, is it like you're excited or are you nervous? Because excitement and nervousness are really one and the same energies. It's just you're like your connotation with it. So are you actually nervous about it because you're not comfortable in that, like what you're doing? Are you excited for it because it's something that lifts your soul up and you're comfortable doing it? And so I think it's really, like you were saying, just like the discernment part of knowing what your feelings are actually saying to you, and finding, like, just taking time to really build that connection with your inner being on that discerning factor. Because I try to think about that a lot. Like if I'm getting ready to go do something and I have butterflies, I'm like, all right, am I nervous or am I excited? And then it's like, once I acknowledge that it's excitement, it's like, oh, I'm happy about it. You know, at first I'm nervous. So like my energy level is probably like a little lower, but once I acknowledge what the feeling actually is of excitement, then I'm like, oh, okay. And then if I notice that I'm nervous, I'm like, why are you nervous? Oh, because you're showing up someplace new, you know, or you're doing something different. And then I can start to like offset myself, especially with nervousness, because then I'm like, well, you're doing something new, but you're doing something that you've done before, just in a new setting. So, you know, you're good, you know, you can be confident in this area. And so again, the mindfulness, the coaching, the accountability with your own mindset is extremely important, as you can hear. But that discernment is important, and to feel into that and really get to know yourself well. So important. And keeping your eyes and heart open. I'm trying so hard right now to do that. And it's not easy, especially for someone who is just like, usually like, fuck it, I'm done. I don't want to feel anything for a while. I'm good. Save your feelings for somebody else because I'm not here for it. That's usually how I roll, you know? And lately just being like, oh, I'm feeling into this. And for me, it's an uncomfortable space, but I'm doing it. And I'm really proud of myself for that too, because I liked being a robot for a long time. It worked well for me. Now I want to open my heart up for new opportunities and possibilities. And I can't do that being a robot 24/7. And so,
Yep.
and so I'm like, you know, that coachability stuff. I'm like, I'm real proud of you. You're trying. I feel like you're sad some days and I feel like you want to shut down, but you're really trying to grasp on to that gratitude, to that hope, to that understanding. And you're trying. Like, you should be proud of yourself. And I'm like, I am proud of myself. Well, I'm going to keep on trying then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's that like deep, like be so fucking in love with yourself and just like supportive of yourself, no matter what you're going through. So for me, just like keeping your heart open has been such a key concept this year, such a key concept. And I'm really grateful for these opportunities to practice it.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's great. And I'm proud of you too. Yay. I think it's great. Yeah, I always like kind of, think about like the law of attraction is talking about like focusing on what you want and the positive, but it's like, what about also processing some of the shit, the bad shit? Like, I feel like you have to also kind of acknowledge it and feel it and process it and then kind of keep it moving instead of, just shutting down and kind of ignoring it. But
yeah, you most certainly do have to acknowledge your feelings. And that's why I said I turned into a robot, because I wouldn't acknowledge. I was like, oh, I'm feeling sadness or despair. Nope. And I band-aid it and I'd go into gratitude mode. And what am I grateful for? And it will help you to do that. But I find that, especially lately, I'm acknowledging that I'm sad. I'm acknowledging that some days my headspace isn't where I want it to be. And then I go, it's okay to be here, Lauren. You don't have to be happy for everyone 24/7. You don't have to be happy for yourself 24/7, but you're also not going to sit here and beat yourself up. So it's like be in the space and then keep continuously flowing with life and trying to be grateful for the moments that pop up that support you mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so I'm definitely, I feel that. I feel all that.
and it's also like, I feel like this reading is also another metaphor that it's like, no matter what happened, whether I freak out or not, I'm right where I want to go anyway. So do I want to freak out and kick and scream, or am I going to calm down? You know what I mean? And so it's really like, another question just came into my brain. It's like, with certain situations, like, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Like, do I want to be peaceful or do I want to be right? It's like, to me, I've learned over time that being peaceful and content and happy is more important to me than being right. And so, yeah, that took a long time because, like, I always wanted, we, as I feel like as humans, like, we want to be right about things, but it's like, yeah, in every moment, we're sovereign beings. I know I talked about this with Daniel. We have choices in every moment to go through this in desperation or to go through it like with dignity and grace and integrity. So it's like everything is a choice. And that includes how long you stay in those negative mind spaces. That includes everything, really. You are in charge of a lot of yourself and what you allow to affect you and what not to affect you and allow to bounce off of you and whatnot. But the answers, I feel like, are always there as long as we're tuned in and really like our heart is open and we're in a calmer, like our nervous system is calm. You know what I mean? And that's a huge thing for me lately. Like, what is my nervous system doing in certain places with certain people?
Yes.
And I'm like, if this doesn't feel good to me, I'm out and I don't have to explain shit anymore. And that also took a long time. I still find myself explaining myself, and thank God for like the strong, people in my life that are like, you don't have to explain yourself. And I was like, you're right. I don't. And so it's like, just owning yourself as a sovereign being and like you are in charge, like even if just changing the storyline, which it's like life is really about perspective, right?
It is. And I, touching back on where you were, with the whole like being frantic and not being present, the whole concept of the serenity prayer, right? If you can't change it, what are you getting worried about? And the thing is, sometimes that chaos is important to redirect you into the space you need to be in to be in alignment with where you're meant to be. And so, we've said this multiple times, everything's working for you. You just gotta let it flow. And so you cannot like, I noticed with, my splitting from Jordan, it was like all these signs were there that like, we're definitely meant to chill and keep chilling and stuff. Right. But he's just got a lot of personal development. And so I ended things and, but ultimately like my soul is comfortable. It's like, if it's meant to be, it will be. I can't sit here and fucking get upset and cry about it every day. So that's like the point, right? I can't change it. I don't know what the future is going to hold. So at this point, I'm going to stay present. I'm going to stay focused and I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. If I have hard moments, it's okay. That's life. That's what we go through. If I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time, that's okay. But don't let it bog you down and don't let it consume you wholeheartedly. Feel into it, experience it, and then know you're going to be perfectly fine at the end of it. Because if it's not for you, it's going to get moved and something better comes into play. And it will, and then life just aligns you in that way. So I definitely love the whole concept of that, right? Just like we've been saying, move out of your own way, chill out, relax into the moment.
Yeah. And the answer may be right in front of you. Literally, like more will be revealed, and just remaining open to receive whatever that answer is.
Yeah, I love it.
Me too.
Such a great topic for the week. Especially, because this is Valentine's Day Monday, right? So, it's a week where people put a lot of emphasis on love, whether it's love of a significant other, love of themselves. And I think, when we slow down and we start loving ourselves more and loving those around us more, we start noticing, those synchronicities, and we start noticing the things within us that need to be changed. And so I really love the concept that, a lot of the things are right in front of us. And I tell people all the time, if you actually pay attention to life, sometimes you're actually foreshadowed a lot of things. And it's through conversations where you hear repetitious words, sayings, phrases, ideas. It could be from a radio song being played multiple times. It could be, from something you've read multiple times. So, it's always in front of you. Like I tell people all the time, like I've seen my future. I see my future sometimes, but I'm not looking right in front of me. Right. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, I heard about that a lot. Like my gong master, Ron, he said, Lauren, you got to stop just teaching regular yoga classes. You got to start doing bigger things. And I would go, yeah, Ron. Yeah. Whenever I get there. Right. And a year later, that's what happened. My life turned into me having the wellness studio and hosting these events. And I even touched back to that with, I think, Teresa at one point, where I was like, Ron was literally just saying this to me last year, and this is what I'm doing now. And so it was that foreshadowing, but I wasn't listening. I'm like, yeah, whenever I get to it, if it ever happens. No, Lauren, it's coming. You're just not paying attention. And that wasn't a bad thing. Luckily, that was a nice positive thing.
Right.
But even the bad things are foreshadowed if you listen and you watch, and it's from not learning the lessons. Right. And so really push that concept now, because I've seen it. I've seen my life manifest from people saying things over and over to me that I actually was just like, yeah, whatever. Like,
right. And it's like in every moment, like we have choice. So we can move in whatever direction that we desire to, because we are sovereign and we have free will. But yeah, it's Valentine's Day week, heavy emphasis on love. Astrologically, it's a Venus-Mars conjunction right now. It's a full moon in Leo today. So there's a lot going on.
You want to give us like a quick little tidbit at the end here? Like,
I know that the Venus and Mars conjunction is about balancing the masculine and feminine energies, which is like perfect, because Daniel was my first male on the Top of Tuesday podcast, and we talked about the divine feminine, divine masculine energies. And that doesn't necessarily mean with a partner. That means balancing the energies within yourself. So where do you need more Venus feminine energy, or where do you need more Mars masculine type action oriented? More, this is feminine, more meditative, this is more action. So just balancing that. Also, I read that it is also a time of fated meeting of cosmic lovers potentially. But again, that could be meeting the lover within yourself. Also karmic relationships are ending, are done. So yeah, you could find all kinds of information about it. I'm not an astrology expert, but it is definitely something that I'm interested in and I tune into every day. I know the full moon in Leo is about owning your authenticity and being loud about it, like not even hiding it anymore, like being proud of it, like a lion. So I love Leo energy. Like one of my brothers is a Leo son, and I just love Leos. I think they're fun. They're flashy. They're like, look at me. But like very kind and just stoic. Like that's how I view most Leos. I love Leos. But yeah, that's my little 2 cents on the astrology right now. And yeah.
Love it.
I
love it. Yeah. I'm an Aries, so Mars rules me, we rule each other. And so as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, no wonder I'm in this right now. It's always about me in some way. No.
I know. We can always relate things to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told that to a lot of people. They're like, oh, like astrology or horoscopes kind of is easy because it can go to anyone. I'm like, that's the point. Like, we're all really the same. You guys act like want to be so different, like we're all, if you actually put us all in a room, we're all probably going around through the same thing right now.
just in a different way.
Right.
with different meat sacks, different players,
For sure.
characters. Mhm.
All right, guys. Lindsay, got anything else you want to share on this week's?
No, I mean, I love it. I think that, the answer may be right in front of you. So maybe calm down, relax, and let it present itself to you. And wishing everyone a happy full moon in Leo. Thank you for having me on, Lauren. Definitely check out the Conduit, Top of Tuesday. That's what's going on right now. And yeah, I'm just excited and looking forward to next week already.
And yeah, just a heads up on what next week's topic's going to be on is let power come gently, and I'm really looking forward to that now that I've looked ahead, because I'm already seeing that in my life. So let's go. So tune into us next week, and remember, I have a business mindful podcast, the Mindful Business Life, which this is, but on Mondays I post a mindful business podcast on various topics. This past week was on social media. So I talked about Facebook and Instagram, and then how to manage your time in both that space and in your personal life. So you get this kind of like business savviness with you, but then Lindsay and I drop on and just give you some extra love and support throughout the week to let you know that you're not alone, and that the things that you're going through, they're real, but you can also move through them, and you can become even more powerful and manifest the things that your truest heart's desires. But just like this, the answers are right in front of you. You just got to chill out and give it time to show up. So we appreciate you guys, and thanks for tuning in. Namaste.
Thank you.